Imagine standing at the entrance of a stadium, ticket in hand, only to find out the rules of entry were changed while you were waiting in line. Not just the ticket, but now you need a birth certificate or a passport just to get through the turnstile. That is essentially the landscape of American voting rights as we head toward the upcoming elections. The battle lines are drawn around the SAVE Act, or the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, and the broader push for strict proof of citizenship at the ballot box. It is a debate that goes far beyond simple administrative paperwork. It is a high-stakes conflict over who gets to participate in democracy.
It really is a fundamental clash of values. On one side, you have a push for absolute security, and on the other, a demand for maximum accessibility. To truly understand why this is happening now, we have to look at the strategic mission and objectives of the actors involved. If we analyze the mission of the proponents of the SAVE Act, their stated goal is to secure the integrity of the vote by ensuring only eligible citizens participate. Strategically, they are leveraging public concern over border security to implement strict documentary proof of citizenship requirements. The tactics involve introducing federal legislation and passing state-level mandates that require physical documents like birth certificates or passports to register to vote.
But if we look at the opposing side, the mission is entirely different. For opponents, primarily Democrats and voting rights advocates, the objective is to maximize voter turnout and protect access for marginalized groups. Their strategy is to frame these new requirements as a modern form of voter suppression. Their tactics involve mounting legal challenges, launching public awareness campaigns, and mobilizing voters to overcome these new administrative barriers. It is a classic confrontation of opposing organizational missions, and it plays out across a very complex environment.
Absolutely. And that environment is shaped by several external forces. If we look at the political landscape, partisan polarization is at an all-time high. Voting procedures are no longer just administrative details. They are core campaign issues. Economically, implementing these new verification systems is not cheap. States have to update their databases, retrain poll workers, and manage the increased administrative costs, which constrain state budgets.
And we cannot ignore the social and technological factors. Socially, the demographics of the electorate are shifting, which creates anxiety on both sides of the aisle about who holds political power. Technologically, the challenge of verifying citizenship is immense. Many state motor vehicle databases do not communicate effectively with federal immigration databases. When states try to cross-reference voter rolls with driver's license data, they run into errors because a database might show someone was a non-citizen when they got their license years ago, even though they have since become a naturalized citizen.
That technological gap creates a massive legal vulnerability. The National Voter Registration Act of 1993 was designed to make voter registration easier, and these new state-level proof of citizenship laws are running head-on into federal preemption. Courts are constantly having to decide whether states have the authority to demand more documentation than the federal form requires. It is a legal tug-of-war that leaves voters caught in the middle, unsure of what they need to bring to the polls.
To understand the strengths and weaknesses of these strategies, we can look at a SWOT analysis. The strength of the SAVE Act strategy lies in its simple, intuitive appeal. The idea that you should prove you are a citizen to vote sounds common sense to a large portion of the electorate. It is a powerful message for base mobilization. However, the weakness is the lack of empirical evidence showing that non-citizen voting is a widespread problem. Study after study has shown it is vanishingly rare. Furthermore, the administrative burden of these laws is a major weakness because they risk disenfranchising eligible citizens who do not have easy access to their birth certificates or passports, such as married women who have changed their names, students, or low-income voters.
On the flip side, the strength of the opposition's strategy is its alignment with civil rights and the narrative of defending democracy. It is a powerful rallying cry for voter mobilization. But their weakness is that they are often perceived as being against basic security measures, which can alienate moderate voters who favor voter ID laws. The opportunity for proponents of the SAVE Act is to use this issue to build long-term trust in election outcomes among their base. But the threat is a potential backlash from voters who find themselves suddenly unable to register due to bureaucratic hurdles.
It is a delicate balance. And speaking of deep dives into complex topics, let us take a quick moment to talk about the home of this conversation. If you enjoy discussions like this, you should check out The New Sentinel. The New Sentinel is a podcast dedicated to providing in-depth discussions and deep dives into a wide array of topics. From the glitz and glamour of pop culture to the strategic intricacies of military operations, we cover it all. Each episode is thoughtfully crafted to offer listeners a comprehensive understanding of the subject matter, featuring expert interviews, detailed analysis, and engaging storytelling. Whether you are a pop culture enthusiast or someone with a keen interest in global security, The New Sentinel has something for everyone. Tune in, view, subscribe, comment, and post an inquiry to stay informed and entertained. Now, let us get back to our analysis.
To really understand why both sides are acting the way they are, we have to look at this through the lens of game theory. This is not just a policy debate. It is a strategic game where the payoffs are political power. Think of it as a game of signaling and minimax strategies, where each player is trying to minimize their maximum potential loss.
Exactly. For the proponents of the SAVE Act, the worst-case scenario is a loss of political power due to an electorate they feel they cannot control. By introducing strict verification rules, they are playing a defensive strategy. Even if the rate of non-citizen voting is statistically negligible, the political payoff of appearing tough on election security is high. It signals to their base that they are actively protecting the ballot box, which drives turnout and donations.
And for the opponents, the worst-case scenario is the disenfranchisement of their core supporters, which could cost them key elections. Their strategy is also defensive, but focused on access. They are signaling to their base that their fundamental rights are under attack. In game theory, this is a classic escalation cycle. When one side changes the rules to secure an advantage, the other side must escalate their mobilization efforts to counteract that change. Neither side can afford to back down because the perceived cost of losing is too high.
It is like a prisoner's dilemma, where cooperation is impossible because of a lack of trust. Proponents do not trust that the current system is secure, and opponents do not trust that the new laws are proposed in good faith. So, instead of working together to create a system that is both highly secure and highly accessible, they double down on their respective strategies. The result is a highly polarized environment where every administrative change is viewed as a hostile act.
And the consequences of this game are felt by the average voter. When the rules are constantly in flux, it creates confusion. Voters do not know if their registration is still valid, what documents they need to bring, or if their mail-in ballot will be challenged. This confusion can lead to self-suppression, where voters simply decide it is not worth the hassle and stay home. In the end, the system itself loses credibility.
That brings us to a deeper, almost philosophical question. What is the ultimate cost of using election administration as a partisan weapon? When the rules of the game are constantly questioned and rewritten for strategic advantage, does the game itself lose its meaning?
That is the real danger. A democracy relies on a shared agreement that the rules are fair, even if you lose. If one side believes the rules are rigged to keep them out, and the other believes the rules are lax enough to allow cheating, the foundational trust of the system crumbles. The SAVE Act and the fight over voter ID are not just about paperwork. They are about the narrative of legitimacy.
As we look toward the upcoming elections, the rollout of these laws will serve as a major test case. Will they succeed in building confidence in our elections, or will they create administrative bottlenecks that leave thousands of eligible citizens unable to cast their ballots? The answer to that question will shape the political landscape for years to come.
It is a story that is still being written, and one that requires us to look past the talking points and analyze the strategic calculations driving the headlines. The rules of the game are changing, and everyone is trying to figure out how to play.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Make sure to keep asking questions, keep looking at the strategic moves behind the news, and we will see you next time.